Hey everybody, it's me, Hannah, with Solo Suit, and a common question that we get at Solo Suit is, how much should I offer to settle my debt? If you've been sued for debt, you've probably asked yourself this question, and you may also wonder, how do I negotiate with creditors and debt collectors to settle my debt for less? I wanted to find the answers to these questions, so I asked a consumer rights attorney named John Skiba these questions and more. I hope that this video helps you find some answers on how to settle your debt for less, save money, and move on with your life. Thanks so much for watching, and just know that Solo Suit is rooting for you, and we believe that you can settle your debts.
What is a realistic offer? And I know that a lot of factors play into this, like your income, if you're experiencing disability or other, financial hardships, whatever it is. But in your experience, what do you think is a realistic settlement offer?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. And it does vary so much depending on the facts of each person's situation. I do, again, break it into two groups: junk debt buyer versus the original creditor still has it. Junk debt buyer, to me, a low settlement is 10%. More typical is somewhere between 30 and 40% of the total amount. And that's often if you're able to do it in a lump sum within like 30 days of them agreeing to it. Generally, you're going to get a better deal with a lump sum. Although I can tell you over the last several years, I've seen particularly the large debt buyers that deal in gigantic volume, they have been more willing to say, no, we'll just take a monthly payment and we'll stretch this thing out over 3 years kind of thing. I think they're kind of playing the long game there a bit with it, thinking that they deal in enough volume that they have payments coming in. But if you're able to do a lump sum in general, you're going to get a better deal. I think with a junk debt buyer, like I said, 10 to 35% is not a bad settlement. Original creditors, it's going to be higher. You're probably going to be somewhere closer to 50 to 75% of the total balance is probably more realistic in a lump sum. And with any of these, if you want a payment plan over time, you're going to usually end up paying more. But there are some original creditors. I can tell you American Express is one that I deal with a lot. And I've been surprised at how far they stretch these things out. I had a really large credit card the other day that settled, but it was a 72-month payment plan. So it's something where it's possible, and part of all this is you're putting it together. I always tell people, you need to come up with, before you reach out to them, you come up with a plan and a proposal of something that's realistic for your budget. You don't want to propose something that's just not going to happen, or even a payment plan where you're proposing $300 a month and there's no way you can pay more than 150. Come up with something that works for your situation and then go to the creditor with at least your initial offer. Don't wait around for them to offer it, because their initial offer is always, we'll take 100% kind of thing.
Cool. I think I just have two other questions. I know we're already past our time, so hopefully I'm not keeping you from going home or anything. But my other question was, do you have any examples of a recent settlement that you came to in your firm? I know this is like private information, but could you just take away any names and stuff and tell us a real example of a recent settlement you've come to?
Yeah, I mean, we did one that we got notice on just the other day. It was a junk debt buyer. The total amount of the lawsuit, they had filed suit, and it was about, I think it was about $6,500, and we ended up selling that one.
Can you tell us who the debt collector was?
I believe it was LVNV Funding. Yeah. So an LVNV,
you're saying for $6,500?
Correct.
Okay.
And that one ended up settling for a $1,500 lump sum, payable within 30 days of them agreeing to it. So they agreed to dismiss the lawsuit, and they took the $1,500. So there's some factors in there with that client's ability to pay that influenced that one tremendously. Just about a month ago, we did one with American Express where the credit account was very high. It was a $200,000 plus credit card, and that one they allowed payments on. I think we ended up saving that client a little over $100,000, and they broke it up in over 72 payments. So again, the underlying facts do matter. Just, throwing out numbers to these creditors is not going to get you very far. But if you give it some thought of, maybe put yourself into their shoes of how easy is this going to be to collect, knowing that most of the debt collection lawyers, debt collectors, a lot of them are working on contingencies, meaning they don't get paid until they get some money. So they want to do as little work as possible and get as much as possible back. If you're showing them, look, there's a lot of roadblocks in their way to collecting this money, you're going to get a better deal overall.
Wow, that's awesome. So you guys saved, in the one case, LVNV Funding $6,500 credit card debt, you settled for $1,500, you said?
Yeah.
That's really good. And then in the other American Express case, you said you ended up saving them $100,000. What were the underlying factors that I guess played into those settlements? Can you share a little bit about that?
The one with the $1,500 settlement, the income was quite low, and we were able to show them it's not going to change. The client was elderly, late 60s kind of thing, and the job situation wasn't going to change. There was no real estate they could lien, and they're just the prospects for collection on that one were low. You know, with the other one, with the American Express one, there was more than sufficient. There was income there. The tricky thing is with particularly large lawsuits and large debts, I always say it's surprising to me, at least early on in my career, you know, I would see lawsuits for $500, things where you're like, this is ridiculous. But then I would also see a credit card for $60,000 that they didn't file suit on. And you know, the more I thought about it, and the more I've even talked to some of the debt collection attorneys, if someone gets hit with a lawsuit for $65,000, the chances of bankruptcy are very high, and they know that. If someone gets sued for $5,000, most people don't file bankruptcy over a $5,000 lawsuit. So they know that their collection rate and the less likely to deal with the bankruptcy issue with those higher ones. So if you see the bigger lawsuits, and you should know this too, particularly the larger debt buyers. There was an article about Encore Capital in the Wall Street Journal a number of years ago. The sophistication they have as far as knowledge they know about you before they even get involved is high. You know, they have a lot of information, and they work with the credit reporting agencies. We often view, you know, Equifax, TransUnion, Experian as kind of these quasi-governmental groups. They're not. They're private companies, and they sell your information to debt collectors. And they even have things called trigger reports where the debt buyer will pay them a certain amount of money. And then when there's some change in your credit report that they have shown leads a creditor to believe that there's a more high likelihood that they're going to be able to collect, they let Encore Capital know, hey, now's a good time. You know, I always get people who say, this lawsuit came at the worst imaginable time. And I'm like, it's not a coincidence. They saw that you just bought a house, or they saw that you've been looking to buy a house, or you just bought a car. They saw that there's been a change of address or a change of job. And so they get that information. So when they're coming to settlement, I guess that's maybe one other point we can bring up. Don't misrepresent your situation, because they often know it. You know, I've had clients tell me before, oh yeah, no real estate, and I'm unemployed or whatever. And then I do a quick search. I'm like, no, even I can see you have a rental property and a home, you know, and if you do that, it reduces the credibility. That being said, you don't need to give them your banking information or who your employer is and all that kind of stuff. But if there's things that are readily available on the internet, like real property records, they're going to know about that. So all of that goes into, you know, them deciding to file suit on a great big claim like that American Express one, and it will influence their ability to, you know, what they're going to take for it. So all those factors go into it.
Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you found some answers to your questions. And if you feel like you need more help, head over to solosuit.com. We have a blog with lots of resources that can get you more answers to more questions. On top of that, we have products that can help you respond to debt collection lawsuits and settle your debt outside of court. So if the thought of representing yourself in a debt collection lawsuit intimidates you, or if negotiating a settlement seems scary, go over to solosuit.com. We can help you respond to a debt collection lawsuit, settle your debt outside of court, and empower you to represent yourself in resolving your debts for good. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck with resolving your debts. Solo Suit is rooting for you.